Hey guys, we're talking about Fluval FX filter motor maintenance today. We have the FX6 over here, we got the FX4 over here that we're going to get to in a little bit. We decided to cut a video on this because we had some questions from our former Fluval FX filter maintenance video, so we're doing a specific one on motor maintenance. Now, there's a couple of things you're going to need when you do that. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. You're going to need a couple of impeller cleaning brushes that come in really handy. This one's good for the impeller well. This one's good for actually cleaning the impeller off. And of course, a spare impeller. This one's for the FX6. We got the FX4 over here. You always should have that on hand. Always keep one on hand. It's the only moving part in your filter. That's the part that you may have to replace, the greatest chances of doing that. So let's get to it. We're going to unscrew the motor from this FX6 over here. We're going to remove the motor from the canister housing. You just remove it, put it with the other three screws that are over there. First thing that we're going to do is remove the impeller from the motor. It's very easy to do. What you're going to do is just pull right up on the impeller assembly. It's going to come right out. Now, there's a couple of points you want to be aware of when you're reinserting the impeller. You might as well see it right now. To align it, you've got a little slot right here. That's going to go over this peg right at the top of the impeller well. It's very important too that this O-ring is situated on the outside and is sitting on top of this little ridged area that goes all around. If the O-ring is on the outside, you will have a leak. So it's very important to put the O-ring here. And if you can see by the shininess of this O-ring, that's because we've put, of course, some Fluval silicone lubricant on it. So now I'll show you just how to line it up. You can see that little slot goes right over the assembly. You push down and then grasp this disc and try and turn it. If it doesn't turn, that means you've inserted it into that peg correctly. So let's go ahead and remove it. Now that I've removed the impeller, you can use your impeller brush to clean the surface of the impeller off, get any debris or biofilm off it, the shaft and so forth. Just clean everything up really good. You can use a larger impeller brush to go into the impeller well right over here and go in and just clean that all out. Make sure there's no debris or waste in there. Now you're going to examine the impeller for any damage to the magnetic surface or detachment from the plastic assembly or anything that may have gone wrong with the impeller shaft. And then you'll be aware of whether or not you have to replace it. In the case that you have to replace the impeller, we've got an impeller kit over here to show you how to go about doing that. Now, it comes obviously with a new impeller, comes with a tool that's made to insert the new bushing into the actual motor, and it comes with a bushing removal tool. Now you can see this, it's like a little puller tool, and there's kind of a half of a hook. Now that half hook, you're going to insert on either side. At the bottom, you'll notice the black bushing with an O-ring. You're going to insert the puller tool into one of those slots at the bottom to remove the bushing. So I got to look in there. Now once I do that, I'm going to use that half hook to pull up on the bushing. You see the O-ring already popped out and the bushing follows. So there's the bushing. Now I've removed the old one. What you're going to do too, you can inspect it and look for any signs of wear, unevenness in the bushing. It's always a good idea to replace it if you're going to replace the impeller for sure. And then this new bushing simply pushes right back in. There's an O-ring. You push the tool down and then you remove it. The new bushing is inserted in place. Once you've done that, it's a very simple matter, as we've already shown you how to align the impeller. You simply take it. I'm going to look for my little slot. That goes over that peg. So I'm going to make sure I align that properly. Push the disc down on top of that peg. I can't turn the disc. The impeller is aligned. There you go. My O-ring is in position. I'm ready to reinstall the motor with the new impeller. With the impeller installed, two quick checks before we reinstall the motor onto the filter. We've got an arrow on the actual impeller that's right there in black, and we've got an arrow on the red part of the motor. Those two arrows have to align. That's added insurance that you've reinstalled your impeller correctly. Also, you want to have a look at the actual inner part of this housing here that the impeller inserts into. You want to make sure that's clean. So you can always use a brush here to clean it out. It's very simple. You're simply going to align the 4 holes with the actual holes on the motor, or on the canister, sorry. Reinsert it and then screw the motor back to the actual canister. Now that we've covered the FX6, let's get into the FX4. Now we've got one right over here to show you the differences, starting with the 3 screws that hold the motor in place on the FX4. Now I've removed the first 2, one from each side of this. I'm just going to remove the remaining one, which is up top here. Motor assembly comes right off, real easy. You're going to notice right away too that the impeller is different than what we have on the FX6. This one actually has a removable shaft. You can see the 2 bushings here. Should the bushing become lodged inside and not be removed, you can just use the Phillips screwdriver to pop it out if you have to. Now you're going to look at the impeller obviously for signs of damage. Look at the impeller surface. It's the only moving part. Obviously you got to take care of it. If that's okay, have a look at the opening. It should be round. It shouldn't be oblong or unevenly shaped. If it is, it's got to be replaced. And of course at this time you want to clean it, clean the surfaces, clean the actual motor housing if you want, both the motor itself and the canister with the larger impeller brush. And if you do have to replace the impeller, well, of course we have it available as a spare part. That being available to you here in this blister pack, it'll look like this. So just a matter of popping the new one back in, real simple. Reinsert it, just line up the holes with the holes in the actual canister, and then use the screws, and then just basically screw down the motor. If you'd like to see any more helpful videos like this, please make sure to subscribe on the subscribe logo below. And don't forget, if you've got any questions at all about Fluval products, please hit us up at fluvalaquatics.com. Thanks a lot for watching.